Thank you, Laura. And I just want to say about Laura, I've known Laura so many years. We've been arrested together. We've tied ourselves to fences together. We've slept in radioactive dust together. She is one of the most powerful, true activists, journalists, humanitarians, and lover of telling the real stories of real people. And you should, if you haven't, see her show, Laura Flanders, on Telesur and on Link TV, lauraflanders.com. I'm so happy to have been introduced by her and to have been in this struggle with her so long. I am so honored to be here tonight on the 150th anniversary of the nation, and even more excited to read an excerpt from my revolutionary mother and inspiration, Emma Goldman. Emma was a prolific writer, an activist, an anarchist, and had a crucial role in developing anarchist philosophy in North America. She was known at one time as the most dangerous woman in America, and I think it's something we should all aspire to. She wrote about militarism, capitalism, free sex, and homosexuality. And I think one of the things I love about her so much is that she understood that there is no revolution without sex and dancing. This particular piece, was written during World War I, when World War I began and the United States was about to enter it. It was outlawed for anyone to speak out against it, and Emma did that nonstop. She was then arrested, put in prison for 2 years, and eventually deported from the only country which she really ever loved. She then went to the Soviet Union to join the Russian Revolution and was completely disillusioned for the revolution's betrayal at the hands of the Bolsheviks, and left there in less than 2 years. And from that point on in her life, she was essentially in exile, exiled from the left, exiled from a country and a world that had really stopped political activism. And I just want to say there are many reasons I celebrate the nation, but one of the main reasons is that they have always published Exiles and the Unpopular. And that is such an incredible thing to think about, to publish The Exiled and the Unpopular. So the selection of hers that I'm going to read tonight is from The Tragedy of the Political Exiles that was written in 1934, but if you close your eyes, she could have written it today. During my 90 days in the United States, old friends and new spoke much of my years in exile. It seemed incredible to them that I had been able to withstand the vicissitudes of banishment and come back unbroken in health and spirit with my ideal unmarred. I confess I was deeply moved by their generous tribute, but I was also embarrassed because the plight of hosts of political exiles scattered all over Europe is so tragic that my struggle to survive was hardly worth mentioning. The world carnage put an end to the golden era when a Bakunin or a Herzen, a Marx or a Kropotkin, and all the others could come and go without hindrance. In those days, who cared about passports or visas? Who worried about one particular spot on earth? The whole world was one's country. Not in their wildest dreams did it occur to these revolutionaries that the time might come when the world would be turned into a huge penitentiary, or that political conditions might become more despotic and inhuman than during the worst period of the czars. The war for democracy and the advent of left and right dictatorships destroyed whatever freedom of movement political refugees had formerly enjoyed. Tens of thousands of women, men, and children have been forced to roam the earth, admitted nowhere. If they are fortunate enough to find asylum, it is nearly always for a short period only. They are always exposed to annoyance and chicanery, and their lives are made a veritable hell. The images, that's the end of Emma. The images of Alan Kurdi, the 3-year-old Syrian boy lying face down on a beach as waves wash over his lifeless body. Refugees queuing for aid, exposing the shocking and apocalyptic conditions endured by 20,000 people trapped inside a devastated Palestinian camp in Syria. Police with batons beating fleeing refugees on a Greek island. Hungarian police tear gassing and using water cannons against asylum seekers. 900 drowned Syrians, Eritreans, Somalian refugees in the middle of the Mediterranean. Donald Trump's 5-point anti-immigration plan that involves building a Great Wall of America, which Mexican immigrants would then be forced to pay for themselves, employing 25,000 guards and drones, and making sure asylum seekers, immigrants, are criminalized and thrown into detention centers that are no longer cozy. These are a few images of our times. The UN Refugee Agency now says that refugees, asylum seekers, and internally displaced people worldwide has, for the first time in the post-World War II era, exceeded 60 million people. 60 million refugees, asylum seekers, and stateless people. Millions exiled worldwide, mainly because of wars and interventions instigated by the US empire. Economic destruction, devastation, poverty brought on by a world economic system that serves the top tiny percent and destroys the rest. And typhoons, droughts, and storms brought on by climate crisis created largely by the madly consuming developed world. In Vivian Gornick's amazing book on Emma Goldman, she writes, "Felt is the operative word. Emma always claimed that the ideas of anarchism were of secondary use if grasped only with reasoning intelligence. It was necessary to feel them in every fiber like a flame, a consuming fever, an elemental passion. Goldman's radicalism, an impassioned faith, lived in the nervous system, that feelings were everything." In the name of my radical mother tonight, on this 150th anniversary of the nation, may the suffering of our fleeing brothers and sisters live like a fever within us. May we make reparations for the hideous policies of this country that compelled those to risk their lives and the lives of their children, fleeing without life preservers or a vision of where they were going. May we awaken to the truth that in these perilous times, each one of us is at every moment a potential refugee, leaving and returning. And may we openly and gratefully acknowledge that except for the indigenous people who were here, every one of us was once an immigrant, a refugee, an asylum seeker. May we melt the walls of our fear-based borders inside us and out, and live now as if the whole world were our country. Thank you.